writers always cold? Because they're constantly surrounded by drafts. I have no regrets. Actually, no, that's just clickbait. I have one big regret. Yeah, you've read the title right. I am so excited to make today's video because it's a major haul and I got so many good books on such a good deal, an amazing bargain, honestly. So I got 11 books, 10 of them I got for £1 and one of them I got for £5. So a total of £15, which is literally the cost of one paper book. Are we saving money, the earth, and bringing happiness to ourselves? Yes, yes we are. So then what's my regret? My regret is not being able to get affordable thrift paper books from Thrift Books. Unpaid promotion, by the way, they have no idea that I'm doing this. Unfortunately, there's nothing I could do about this one. If I could fix this, I would get my books from there. Okay, so as you know, I live in Russia and here it's incredibly hard to get English books by purchasing 5 because there is a place to get them, but it's just super expensive. And by purchasing 5, I'm blowing my entire budget. Point is, and I'm really upset about this, I couldn't thrift book them all in an indie store, so I had to choose an ebook because here it's only paper books that are expensive. We don't even have ebooks here. So yeah, you guessed where I got them from. It's from Amazon. Great bargains from Amazon, and I'm not trying to start a war against Amazon. Honestly, no judgment. We don't always have the opportunity to get from indie bookstores and etc. Like I, for example, literally couldn't get it from anywhere else. And it's just honestly buy wherever you want, but it's nice to support smaller businesses when you have an opportunity to. Anyways, if you know places that will ship English books to Russia but they will be affordable, they have to be affordable. Shipping here is so expensive. Literally, if you have those places, please comment them. Let's discuss the books I got. Number 1, we have Stephen Hawking's Brief Answers to the Big Question. I think we all know who Stephen Hawking is. He's an English theoretical physicist and cosmologist, I think. Cosmologist maybe, but physicist definitely, yeah. Who is recognized as one of the world's greatest minds, and he was diagnosed with ASL and told he wouldn't live for more than a year when he was diagnosed. He's very inspirational because he persisted. He recently died in 2018, age 76, and it's definitely a big loss. I have a couple of other books by him downloaded that I want to read because obviously, come on, it's Hawking, but yeah. The thing is, I want to read them when I want to make sure I'm focused when I read them, and right now because I have exams and I had to pre-record all my videos so I could focus on studying and preparing, I lack that focus, so it's gonna be a while before I start this book. The book answers, well, the big questions, as the title suggests. It talks about, for example, some of the problems that the human race faces, etc. And it also reveals, it's semi-autobiographical, I've been told. So we also find out more about Hawking, and I'm excited about that because the knowledge that I have of him is very surface-based. According to Wikipedia, I cite, a portion of the royalties from the book are to go to the Motor Neuron Disease Association and the Stephen Hawking Foundation. So yeah, do consider buying it. I think it will be a phenomenal read, of course. Number 2, we have How to Break Up With Your Phone. I have to admit, I knew nothing about this book before. I literally just picked it up just because it looked interesting and there were a lot of positive reviews here on Goodreads. So you just heard me complain that there's not a lot of paper books in Russia. This is not English paper books, it's Russian paper books, by the way. Just clearing that up. Yeah, the amount of English books I have in paper, it's like 100 maximum. Again, we have a title that speaks for what the book is about, and according to the reviews, the book is split into 2 sections. So the first one is the scary section, if you will, where we talk about how, you know, cell phones are damaging and how their use can be damaging as well. And we have the second actually helpful part, which talks about how we can address that. I don't have a lot of problems with spending time on my phone. In fact, typically I only use it for WhatsApp, texting my friends and my family, and Instagram, more specifically Bookstagram. Also, a bit unrelated, but anyone else notice the new iPhone bug for screen time? Screen time is helpful for me to look at when I'm just making sure that I spend a lot of time away from the screen as well, reading and stuff like that. So the fact that the new iPhone bug is there, it's really annoying. On holidays, I average about 1.5 hours on the phone per day. When I'm tired, I'm drawn to Netflix instead of being productive and taking a walk. But to be fair, I'm not obsessed with the idea of walking either. I prefer to read, so there's that as well. I'm kind of hoping this book will help me address that. Time in general, and yeah. The only thing I don't think I will like about this book is because it provides a plan to help take back your life. And I think I would just prefer a list of tips and information rather than someone else planning my day, because I plan my day. I know what works and I know what doesn't. So I don't think I'm gonna enjoy the plan, but that's just the pessimist in me. Third book, Invisible Woman, another read recommended to me by SB Bibliophile, and I'm confident that I will enjoy this because so far every book that she has recommended to me I love. Like A Room of One's Own. Remember that 15-minute video? Fangirling over that one. This is the book that I bought for £5, and it's about data bias, more specifically about how gaps in our knowledge are one of the root problems of constant discrimination against women in the system. It demonstrates how in a world run by men, we are essentially ignoring half of the population. It actually argues that, well, we're being discriminated because we're just being systemically left out. Reviewers have called this one enraging and enlightening, and I do think it will be enraging because you are provided with clear examples of discrimination in actual, like, in real life, everyday examples. It's not your typical glass ceiling book. It goes deeper into address the problem, and it's also not only about white women. It has intersectionality too. Honestly, I don't know what else to say. I think this is definitely going to be one of the best reads of the year. Fourth, we have The Psychology of Time Travel. Finally picking up another science fiction. I have a very complicated relationship with the genre because I always end up loving the plot but disliking the characters. It sounds like it will be somewhere in the middle. So in 1967, 4 female scientists create a time machine, but one of them suffers a mental breakdown and they exile her. Damn, that's rough. Then 50 years later, Ruby Rebello receives a mysterious letter about the murder of an unidentified woman who she suspects is her grandmother. So now she must solve the murder and see if she can stop it. The author has decided to focus not on the time travel itself, but on the mind, the way it affects the mind. How does it affect our sanity? Not only is that an interesting question, it's also a very real one, because let's face it, if we did finally discover time travel, it would be a major breakthrough. A dangerous one, sure, but I think that every member of the scientific community would have something they could find out from this. It also sounds like a captivating murder mystery, made even more so by the fact that, well, how can you catch a murderer when the murderer can literally be from anywhere? Then we have Rosewater, another scientific fiction set in Nigeria. Rosewater is the name of a town that is at the edge of some kind of alien dome, and all the people there are the desperate ones, the ones who kind of will do anything to kind of get a glimpse of that supernatural power and knowledge. Hero is an agent who has been inside the dome and he doesn't want to ever be there again. Oh, to see without my eyes. Something begins to be murdering off others like him. I'm not sure what that means, I'm just rephrasing the descriptions here. And he must defy his masters, which is, I assume, the government, and solve it before he dies. So this is a trilogy called the Wormwood Trilogy. I'll say right off the bat that I don't love the name. I'm terrible at giving names. Like, so much worse than this. I don't like the name, it's not terrible, but I just don't like it. I remember my NaNoWriMo project that I was working for this year. Yeah, I just left it unnamed after I came up with emotion matriarchy and I kind of gave up. Like, come on, emotion matriarchy? That's atrocious. What does that even mean? Anyways, Rosewater is better than this, but I'm still not a fan of the name. And reviewers have said that this is hardcore science fiction and it has a noir trope and has the whole telepathy thing. Not sure what noir trope means, and even if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I guess we'll find out. Telepathy is riveting if written correctly, and apparently what makes it bizarre is not the aliens but the culture inside Rosewater, which is exciting. This has me hooked even more now. I'm a bit apprehensive though because the plot sounds like something that really shouldn't be stretched out into 3 books. Authors, just stop doing this, please. Stop stretching a book out into 3 books. Purchase is Nevernight. So remember how I said I was apprehensive at starting Rosewater? Yeah, it's nothing compared to this one. But my friends loved this book. Seriously loved it. They said, okay, doesn't sound bad, right? And then I stumbled upon several quotes and several reviews that people were so confused about. Has anyone here read I'll Give You the Sun? I like that. Throw me off a cliff, but the whole metaphor thing is my guilty pleasure. But it's my pleasure when I actually understand what they're talking about. Let's take a look, shall we? Quote, the 3 suns hanging on a chain about his throat tried to gleam, but the clouds in the crying sky told them no. Are they not gleaming because there's no sun since it's rainy and cloudy? Couldn't you just say the necklace was dull in the lighting? If her face were a puzzle, most would put it back in the box unfinished. So people just give up on her face? Lovely way to describe someone. This is what I'm talking about. You kind of get the quotes, and I realize I don't know the context since I didn't read this book yet. but I'm pretty sure it's going to be exhausting to read it. Next we have How Much of These Hills is Gold. This is a debut novel set during the time of the gold rush, and it's filled with Chinese symbolisms exploring such themes as race and family. It's said that this book is very intimate, and it sounds so. The story of Chinese immigrants in the West sometime in the 19th century, and struggling as the dream and the ecstasy fades, and they must fight to keep the family functioning. I love reading about family relationships, the idea of what makes home home. Yeah, out of popular picks, I've read Pachinko and The Nightingale, two very different books. This was on the Booker Prize Longlist 2020. The Devil and the Dark Water. So this was written by the author of 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and the book was murdering me, get it? Murdering me with its pace. But I kept reading because of the curiosity it evoked. I have a feeling it's going to be much the same with this. Guardian called Evelyn Hardcastle a curiously invigorating mix of genres. Although The Devil and the Dark Water is a maritime mystery set in 17th century, and it has what sounds like fantasy elements, it's about Samuel Pepys, the world's greatest detective. Seems kind of like a loud claim, I hope it's justified. But yeah, he's heading to die for a murder or a crime he didn't commit. I'm just assuming it's murder, sorry, I shouldn't do that, but I do. As soon as they set out, a bunch of strange things begin to happen. It's described as devilry. You know what would be a major plot twist? After Samuel Pepys solves the murder and the weird things on the ship and saves the day, we find out that he actually did commit that crime. Gasp. I don't think that will happen, but either way, strange symbols and murdered livestock sounds like a sea-based cult that is sure to be enthralling. Girl with the Louding Voice, with a shocking 4.48 stars on Goodreads on average rating. This is the story about a young girl growing up in Nigeria who is eager to get an education and learn to speak up for herself. Raising from the Goodreads description, it's a touching and emotional read that inspires us to change the world and strive to achieve our goals. Over at the Nerdy Birdie on BookTube, and she's my friend on Goodreads as well, she wrote that she hasn't felt this much for a character since Kaya from Where the Crawdads Sing. Please tell me I will feel towards Anthony in a similar way, and that 2021 is going to be a good literary year. This promises to be an educational read, and I'm eager to begin this novel. Number 10, we have The Vanishing Half. This is the winner of the Goodreads Choice Awards 2020, and after Invisible Women, this is the book that I'm most eager to start. Set in the 20th century, it explores the American history of passing. I'm not from the US, and honestly, I don't know a lot about this time. What this is, like, no idea. So yeah, it's definitely going to be an educational read, and more reason to pick it up ASAP. Vanishing Half follows the story of two twin sisters who lead different lives. The Vin sisters, who grew up in a small southern black town and ran away at the age of 16. Race, loneliness, identity. I can't figure out a way to talk about my highly anticipated read that I haven't got around to reading. I just know for a fact that this is my solid 5-star prediction, and that I'm very impressed that the author managed to hopefully write so well and so much in only 343 pages. Finally, we have Women Don't Owe You Pretty. Let's go ahead and end this video on a bang by me saying that I don't have high hopes for this book. I thought it only because I've been seeing a lot on Bookstagram, and I'm interested to see what accessible leap into feminism means. Maybe it will be a thought-provoking read that will inspire many young women, and that's great, but to tell the truth, I am expecting a lot of worn out affirmations about self-love that do nothing to address the problem at hand. Don't get me wrong, self-love is very important, but I just don't think I will be enjoying a book that's barely over 200 pages and will just likely be making you say I love yourself out loud for the whole book. It's important to love yourself as who you are. And yeah, maybe that's a part of feminism, but I just don't think that I will enjoy pages of tips that glossy magazines seem to provide. It's an opening to feminism as a movement, maybe a little more, a little deeper, you know? All of that, sure, but the book promises to be a great way to self-reflect, and that's fantastic, but I just don't think that there's going to be many jewels of new information to kind of glean and acquire from this book. I'm thinking the opposite of Invisible Women, but Hopefully you will prove me wrong. Alright, this concludes this ebook haul. Please comment any thoughts you have on the books that I bought. I've timestamped the descriptions with some of the books that I mentioned in this haul. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you someday.